Doctor, please consider Standard 7.04A through B of your 1992 Ethical Code, entitled Truthfulness and Candor in Forensic Activities. And I read A. In forensic testimony, reports psychologists testify truthfully, honestly, and candidly, and consistent with applicable legal procedures, describe fairly the bases for their testimony and conclusions. B. Whenever necessary, to avoid misleading, psychologists acknowledge the limits of their data or conclusions. Now my question. You're obligated to comply with these ethical standards, correct?
Correct, yes.
You included verbatim narratives from a computerized based test interpretation, or CBTI, of the MMPI-II in your report, correct?
Correct.
But you did not identify the CBTI as the source of those narrative statements, correct?
I didn't think it was particularly necessary.
But you did not identify the CBTI as the source of those narrative statements, correct?
Explicitly so, no.
Thank you. You therefore neglected to fully describe the bases for your testimony and conclusions, correct?
You could argue that position, yes.
Because it is important for this proceeding to clearly understand the basis for your testimony and conclusions, correct?
Yes.
And we have previously established in this examination, Doctor, that there are persistent validity problems related to CBTIs of the MMPI-II, correct?
That appears to be the case, yes.
And because of these validity problems, this proceeding should know to what extent your testimony and conclusions rely on the CBTI of the MMPI-II, correct?
One could take that position, yes.
And you are ethically obligated to acknowledge the limits of your data and conclusions, correct?
Correct.
But in your report, you neglected to disclose the extent to which your testimony and conclusions rely on a CBTI of the MMPI-II, correct?
Correct.
And if you neglected your ethical obligation to acknowledge the limits of your data or conclusions, your testimony creates a risk of misinforming and misleading this proceeding, correct?
That might be the case.
Thank you.